Hello YouTube! Welcome, my name is Tommy the Keyblade Master, and welcome to my channel. I am a legendary gamer and all-around nerd. NES Remix. The last remix hit only a few months ago, and Nintendo is already out with a sequel. This version gives us games from the post-Super Mario era of the NES up to its final official Nintendo game, Wario Woods. Now, if you're wondering why I'm saying post-Super Mario Bros. Era, you should know that Super Mario Bros. Was to video games what the talking movies was to, well, movies. After Super Mario Bros. Came along, games changed. No longer were they more simple arcade games, they became bigger adventures and more unique and memorable for it. So chances are, if you didn't grow up playing the NES, you've at least heard of these classic games. The games on this collection include Punch-Out!, Kirby, both the American and Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 2, and yes, they are completely different games. Super Mario Bros. 3, Dr. Mario, Metroid, Zelda 2, Kid Icarus, and Wario Woods. And although I never unlocked it in NES Remix 2 because it requires a ridiculous amount of stars to unlock, they also include NES Open Tournament Golf, which I do have on one of the virtual consoles, and it plays like golf from the other game, only slightly more updated. Definitely not worth the whopping 477 stars needed to unlock, especially since we got a game just like it in the last collection. Seriously, Nintendo, you unlock almost everything else in this game, including remixes and even the bonus challenges before this comes up. It's kind of like Namco doing a Star Fox game where the reward for beating Expert is having Xevious be the playable game. Not worth the effort. As for the rest of the games, I won't lie and say they're all great games worthy of purchase on the virtual console. I don't really like the original Metroid or Kid Icarus for that matter. However, it's not because they have terrible controls and hit detection. Metroid was a game that was ahead of its time, and because of that there is no map or easy navigation. It can be quite confusing in the real game. However, it does not affect the collection of challenges in this, so it doesn't really matter. They're still fun to play. Kid Icarus had some really frustrating vertical platforming. Again, it only affects very few of the challenges, so there's not any real big crap here. And I don't think Nintendo was completely wrong at the time for taking a game that was originally never developed to be released outside of Japan and was based on a license from a Japanese TV studio in which they crammed Mario into the lead role and released over here in the USA as Super Mario Bros. 2. The lost levels are fun, but they also can be over the top in their frustration, and it just sometimes feels like Nintendo was trolling gamers when they made it. And you'll definitely see what I'm talking about when it comes to the last few challenges in NES Remix 2 attached to that particular game. The challenges. Right, the basic challenges do a good job of showing off of their particular game. At least towards the end they do. The first few are more tutorial, and I do mean that literally. Now, I don't mind being told how to get the morph ball in Metroid or how to open a door, but the game literally makes you watch the demos for Kirby and Wario Woods for their first few challenges. This is not a joke. Way to get us extra excited at the start of these games, Nintendo. Yeah, they're boring, but fortunately beating them gives you a rainbow star so you never have to play them again. Unless you need to record footage for a YouTube video. Still, after a few challenges, things do start to get interesting. As you get challenges like battling different kind of birdos or facing the surprise of the flying bird head in Super Mario Bros. 2. Some, like Kirby, make it challenging by doing challenges where you only get one hit or making a simple mistake that would normally in the regular game be passable will now cause you to fail. And of course, one of my favorite challenges is from Zelda 2, which involves getting past a few side-scrolling screens to get to a town in order to heal before you die. It's challenging, and I could make a Nostalgia Critic reference here, but I won't. On to the remixes. There are some really fun ones, and there are some really tricky remixes included in this collection. All in all, I think it's a better collection than they did in the original NES remix. For example, one of the remixes has you playing Dr. Mario while the viruses randomly move around, and in another remix has you playing Super Mario Bros. 3 with two other clones trying to throw you off of where the real Mario is. It definitely makes a simple stage like this more challenging, trying to figure out which one you are as you leap from platform to platform. And do you remember that one desert stage in World 2 where you had to dodge the sun? Well, it's back, but now the sun's the only source of light, making it more difficult as you can't see ahead as you try to dodge it from killing you as it swoops in and out. Definitely a harder stage. Like the last one, there are bonus challenges after the first two remixes are beaten. But unlike the first where it felt like they were sticking in games that couldn't get their own challenge pack, here it's a few sports games and a lot more remixes from the same games. It does feel like, even though the actual games in the collection are bigger, the amount of challenges in the games are less. Much to this game's detriment, some of the challenges even borrow the original Mario Bros. Meta game that was put in Super Mario Bros. 3 so they can throw more Mario Brothers challenges at you. And we've had plenty of those in the last game. Also, this is kind of cool, but seeing how last year was what Nintendo called the year of Luigi, they threw in the original Super Mario Bros. 1 Luigi sprites in a lot of these game challenges. You can see him jumping out of the pipe in this Mario Bros. 3 game. Now with the bonuses and the Luigi sprites popping up, it leads me to the two great bonuses Nintendo threw in. The first one is called Super Luigi Bros. This is Super Mario Bros. Mirrored. However, it's not just Luigi running in an opposite direction, they also screwed with his jumping ability. It's not quite like Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, where he can't stop. You can still stop using him. However, that higher jump will still be enough to mess you up and change the way you play. There will be areas that Mario can get into that Luigi will not be able to get into. As well as areas where you can die that Mario would be just fine, like here and here. Finally, there is the Championship mode. This is a takeoff of what is the rarest NES game ever made. If you never heard of Nintendo World Championship, it was a rare game only given out in competition and in a Nintendo Power Contest. There were only a handful of the gray cartridges made and only about 26 of the gold ones from Nintendo Power. There are NES collectors out there that will spend enough money to pay for their kids' college education for a legitimate copy of the gold cartridge. Before you get too excited, I did say takeoff. The original one included Super Mario Bros., Rad Racer, and Tetris. Those last two are not Nintendo properties, and so the game swaps them out for Super Mario Bros. 3 and Dr. Mario. Still, the idea is the same. You got 6 minutes to collect 50 coins in Super Mario Bros., 25 in Super Mario Bros. 3, and kill as many viruses in Dr. Mario. Of course, Super Mario Bros. And Super Mario Bros. 3 give you more points. If you can somehow score points without completing the objective, you might get a higher score than someone who rushes through them. Of course, you lose if you don't get to Dr. Mario. And what you have is both a test of skill and time management. It can be very addictive. Final recommendation for NES Remix 2 is 4 out of 5 stars. It has some great challenges and remixes based on classic NES games, and the 2 extra modes really help. But at the same time, there just isn't as much challenge as there was in the original